So are we now recording? Now that we just got the recording in progress announcement? So I think something along those lines is, let's look at some language and maybe we can float something out. Lacey, I'm thinking out loud with you about, since this is a TAC workshop, could we float around language about the limits on recharge pumping as it relates to this one section about the extraction only in the zone you recharged, and have an add-on and float that around to this TAC as a work group email versus forcing attendance?
Yeah, if we do that, let's do that really, really soon, because I would like to, at the May board meeting, there is no action to adopt these remaining sections of the allocation, but I would not be surprised if it showed up in June and then got delayed to July, you know, so I want board eyes on it pretty quick.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think it's something we could draft up some, I'm just thinking along the lines of the conversation, if there's some things to add as an addition to 1.8.11.2.3 that we have on screen here that would provide some of this temporary flexibility. And we just draft, put some add-on language there, float it around within TAC, float it to the board's ad hoc committee. And maybe we could have that as proposed language here very soon so that it would be available to adopt even in June.
Maybe another good thing about that would be, like we're saying earlier, just on the regular subsidence restrictions and pumping restrictions from below the clay, it might make it a little bit more serious and a little bit more aware to people that these restrictions are coming, and it'll give them a time limit to get prepared for things. And so, even before then, there's probably going to be ratcheting down on below the Corcoran clay, but this will, incentivize people to get their stuff together and hopefully, steer them to the upper aquifer, or, make the changes necessary that they need to make and give them a little bit of time to do it.
And signal to other parties in other basins that things are actively moving in a direction that they should appreciate.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay. So I just want to open it up. We went through Brad's comments. I really appreciate the discussion on all of these. Is there anything else that anyone just wants to?
Oh, I got one.
Yeah.
This is left field, guys. Speaking with some colleagues in some of the other basins, I think the big concern is that couple points, but the maximum amount, and I'm glad Jeannie's here, although you don't have to answer, Jeannie. The maximum amount that could be charged currently under the Sigma laws, although it's not explicitly codified, but it's implicit, is $500 per acre foot. My opinion, just one man's, actually probably many's, is that that's not going to be enough to disincentivize any poor behavior. So I've heard rumors that it might be changing, and I wanted to see if that is true. And then I think the GSA needs pretext. I probably shouldn't use the term pretext, but GSA needs a reason to be able to charge those fees. And I would encourage the board to first reimburse all of the 218 fees that have been advanced, and then work towards other types of water infrastructure projects with those fees, because those penalties can't be used just for a penalty. They have to be used towards something. At least that's my understanding. So I guess a two-part comment. One would be a question of, are we stuck with this $500 per acre foot? And if so, I have some ideas on how to augment that. But hopefully we're not, and those are going to be increased anyway. And number two, as far as what we do with these penalties that are paid, I would like to see the 218 fees that have already been paid by all farmers be reimbursed first, And then advancing some other projects, whether that's permanent purchasing property or water or rights or, water infrastructure. I have ideas on that as well. Not that you guys care about my specific ideas, but an idea of being able to get a reimbursement first. So two parts to that.
Couple of thoughts. I don't know if Jeannie wants to weigh in. You gave her the out to not have to.
Yeah,
Um,
don't worry about it. We can talk.
The 500.
We hear the same thing that you're hearing, Lou.
It's not going to stop anything.
There's a rumor. Everybody knows it's not enough. There's a rumor that they're going to raise it. I have not seen any legislation.
Yeah.
So one cute idea, and this might be far too cute, is we're getting an allocation of rainwater towards our evapotranspiration bucket. What if you only got that allocation if you're in good standing and not violating? So a thought there of kind of a way to augment it. A few other thoughts there, but that's for Jeannie to mull on. But $500 an acre, we're going to be in trouble. I mean, what I'm saying for everybody else here is that when you pump an extra acre foot that you're not allowed to right now, I think you're restricted to $500 an acre. And Madera, that's not going to stop anybody. They're just going to, because it's incremental water. It's not like you're pumping $500 an acre for 3 acre feet. You're doing it for an extra 6 inches or an extra, foot. And that's not enough to disincentivize poor behavior. Sorry to open that can of worms, guys.
Yeah, I would suggest you're basically raising the idea of a good standing or not in good standing condition where the GSA can impose other restrictions on availability of supplies or the calculation of allocation such that it results in greater amount of overuse by acre foot. So suddenly you're actually 2 acre feet over pumping rather than just 6 inches because we didn't give you 12 inches of rain and you're now paying, $500 or $1,000 per acre.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And there's a few ways you could adjust the rule to adopt that. It'd be much cleaner if the base was just raised from $500 an acre and you don't have to go through that exercise. But Greg, you're interpreting my comment exactly correctly.
Yeah. Well, let's see what happens on some of the legislative front here too, because I think it's one of our big drivers. It would be easier if we could point to law to change a rate.
It could be, yeah. I just don't know how fast that's going to move.
Yeah, but I appreciate your other thoughts.
Because it's not going to disincentivize anything. We could be making the best rules in the world or the worst. I'm not opining on that, but it's either way, the behavior is not going to change for $500 an acre foot.
Lou, I've got a question for you.
Hey, Blake.
What crops are you growing that you can afford $500 water? I honestly want to know.
So I think of Madera, right? And I think, almonds are back at $275. And it's not that they're putting $500 plus their pumping costs on 3 acre feet.
Right.
You need an extra 6 inches or an extra 12 inches to make their crop. And if you do the math at 225, I mean, here's the thing. Some of this ground, or even in the white areas of Merced, was trading at $30,000 an acre, and now it's $4,000 an acre. So
Right.
You and I would be much better economically off if we went partner, we bought something for $4,000 an acre, put in trees, and just knew we're going to spend an extra $1,000 an acre a year for the next 30 years. And because your acquisition price is so low, your working capital is higher, but because you do the math on it and you're like, well, wait a second, at 275 nuts for almonds, this works all day long. So those white areas get gobbled up at 5,000, 6,000. I mean, there's some of these things that are trading right now with young trees at $7,000 an acre.
Yeah, there's the 10-year average for almonds is below $2, I believe. But I hear what you're saying. But I mean, almonds aren't the only game in town. I understand, but I mean, in our area around us, it's a lot of open ground, and there's a lot of people that there's no way they would touch water at all if it was $500 an acre foot. They would just say, hey, I'm not even going to bother. So I do think it's going to be very ground type sensitive to whether or not you can do that. But almonds have been proven to grow a lot of places. So
I'm not trying to necessarily single out almonds, but you're already getting a bifurcation in land values where you have the Magusa land going through the roof and the white areas falling through the floor. But if you
Right.
start doing the math on that, again, you and I are better off buying land in Madera at $4,000 an acre or less, planting almonds and paying that extra $500 an acre than we are, conversely, buying it in Magusa for $35,000 an acre and doing the same. Because those fees aren't big enough to incentivize that behavior. And my opinion is that's going to be a bit of the folly of Madera unless they can get more teeth. So,
okay, yeah,
Lou, you're
yeah,
absolutely correct. The on west side of Fresno, $1,500 an acre foot for salty, hot, terrible dirt. And growers are buying an acre foot and they have to put it in a recharge basin, let the salt fall, let it cool off, and then pump it. So that's $1,500 an acre foot. And you're talking about 500. So to your point,
it's not enough. We're better off all buying up white areas and pumping the crap out of it and,
absolutely
putting
correct.
Lacey's kids through college.
Okay.
So anyway, I think about all this with the lens of like, is this going to matter if we don't have big enough teeth,
Right. No, it's a very fair point, and it's the balance there too is, does the GSA say, hey, we're trying, and if they fail, like, hey, I'm going to hand it over to the state and let the state come in and figure this out because I don't want to be the police entity. And then it's like it falls where it falls and it goes into adjudication and who knows what. But you're exactly right of how all this stuff could play out and how much does the GSA want to try and control the destiny locally as best it can. Or like, hey, I'm here because I'm supposed to be here right now, and whatever happens, happens. And I really don't
maybe
care.
with the framework that's there, you guys could think about augmenting the fees, the penalties with a good standing clause. And if that changes at the state level and you're able to get more teeth, then you could strike that clause out.
I like
It's
it.
an idea.
It's a good concept to think about. I do like that.
I agree with it. It makes a lot of sense. And I don't think I'd ever get rid of it. If you're not in
Yeah.
good standing, why would you ever be given something extra?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Just to throw out my 2 cents, I'm plenty deterred by $500. So, I think that there's gonna be a fair amount of farmers out there that are, I mean, all of our revenue is driven from the farm. There's no external sources. And so I think that in a lot of cases, that makes a hell of a lot of difference when you have extra investments and the under $2 almond price, or corn or whatever else is not very profitable. $500 looks like a lot of money.
Yeah, no question, there's gonna be a lot of people who are deterred. The comment is you're getting this bifurcation in land values, and at some point the land values will fall so much that it makes more sense to buy the cheap land and pay the penalties every year than it does to buy the expensive land and be a good citizen. I don't want to say good citizen, water steward.
Yeah.
No,
You'd still be a
I
good
completely,
citizen.
I completely agree with what you're saying as far as that goes, because kind of lived it out here. So I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, it's a great point, Lou.
Okay. Anything else, guys? Thanks for taking your time on a Friday morning. I really appreciate it. I think this was one of the better discussions that this group has had. And Jeannie, I'll just note, we did not have a quorum. We had it for like 6 minutes and then somebody dropped off. So
It was just a workshop.
It was just a workshop. I was a little worried we'd have a quorum, but of course we didn't. So thanks everybody, and we will the next GSA meeting is next Thursday. Perhaps we'll see you there. Perhaps we'll see you online. Either way, we'll see you at the next TAG meeting.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
Thank you. Have a good weekend.
Appreciate it, everybody.